Hello, and welcome back to Tea's YouTube channel. Although it's still summer, and typically I don't start building my Christmas villages until October, this year I did extensive research on dioramas which had interesting backdrops. Last December in 2020, I was quite satisfied with the villages that I built on these three shelves behind me. There was a lot of interest and many visits to my apartment, all within COVID regulations. But like every year, I'm determined to improve on my villages. Like you do for any hobby, research and design takes a lot of time and thought. The internet is a wonderful resource, and I trolled through many villages and dioramas built by other hobbyists. However, I didn't find one village, train, or gaming diorama which showed me what I was looking for. I wanted to know how to build depth and perspective and scenery into a narrow diorama with little shelf space. I watched countless YouTube videos on how to sculpt and paint mountains or rock wall were all three-dimensional. What I was looking for was a two-dimensional backdrop, which looked three-dimensional, but which would take up very little space along the back of the shelf. Every diorama that I looked at was large on tables or special setups which would allow for streets and designs to make it look like a city. But they were all three-dimensional. I could picture what I wanted in my mind, but I couldn't find any examples. So I realized that I needed to work on my own design and see what would work best. I have decided to spend this next month figuring out exactly how to achieve what I want before the time actually comes to build the Christmas villages for the year 2021. I've also decided, although the train is a wonderful feature, there is very little I can do to make the train more functional or attractive. So while I am keeping the train as part of the diorama, I am adding another feature to another shelf, namely a reversible trolley with a station at one end. I've seen this type of train running in a larger display, and I was quite taken with it. It will still fit in my Victorian era, as horse-drawn trams were first used in the 1800s. At the turn of the 20th century, still considered the Victorian era, they became electric trolleys. So while I still have all my totes in storage, I can still get started on the backdrop design, as I really don't need anything that's in those totes as yet. I expect to try various things out and possibly discard what doesn't work as I go along. What I'm striving for is a thin, upright backdrop that will look three-dimensional and add depth and perspective to my villages. My first step was to buy some supplies. At Michael's Craft Supply Store, I picked up some slabs of styrofoam, 2.5 centimeters thick, 30 centimeters wide and 70 centimeters long. For each shelf, I would need 3 of these slabs, and at $7.99 each, so I'd need 9 in total. This would cost me between $70 and $75. I also purchased 225 milliliters of Elmer's glue all, which I have here. This is not the same as Elmer's school glue that we all used as children in school. This is a glue all, and this is really good for sticking 2 pieces of styrofoam together and they don't come apart. And they don't just damage the styrofoam. Then I went to the internet to research mountain graphics and found a wonderful Russian site with lovely drawings of mountainscapes. I penciled one of the scapes onto the styrofoam slab and cut the skyline out, thus making the mountain backdrop. Fairly easy so far and fairly straightforward. Now the difficulty would begin, making these flat skyline mountains into believable realistic rock faces of 3-dimensional mountains. So I need to make the 2-dimensional styrofoam into a 3-dimensional mountain. Just a note, don't throw the discarded pieces away. You can transform them later into other elements for your diorama. You will be glad that you did. This is what the mountainscape looks like. Oh, sorry. Usually, using the original drawings on the Russian site, I marked where the crags and valleys and fissures were on the mountain, and I carved them out. I used a knife and a box cutter I am getting in the mail very soon a hot wire carving tool, which actually is much more efficient for using on projects such as this. So that doesn't create a lot of little pieces of styrofoam flying all over the place. It cuts much cleaner and neater. But be careful not to dig too deeply into the styrofoam, as it's only 20 centimeters thick. So this will fit right in the back here. And behind there we will be putting the night sky to give it perspective, and I think it will do the trick, is what I'm looking for. So this entire front needs to be carved out into fissures and the rock face to make it look realistic. Once I have all that carved out and in the place in the back, I can leave a little space between the wall and the flat diorama for the cords. It will hide the cords a little better than I had last year. I'm still planning to put a 2-inch styrofoam slab on each shelf to build, to hide things, and to be able to put the trees directly into the styrofoam without using the stands that the trees come on. It makes for a little more stable and a little more realistic look. I'm excited for the new diorama coming up this year, and I'll take you step by step through it as well. I may do some slow release videos so that you can see me working in a faster pace. If you need some more information, you can always check out the videos that I did last year in the building of the villages. It will give you many handy tips. Take care, and we'll see you the next time. Bye now.